Let's talk about fat. We've been a fat-phobic society for some time now, and there's fat in our diet, cholesterol, these concerns about fat. But there have been studies done, right, Dr. Thompson, about the Inuits who were eating whale blubber and
That's right.
did not have heart disease.
That's right.
They weren't eating any veggies. They weren't eating any fruit or grains.
Pretty amazing, really. The Inuits live, obviously, everyone knows, in the far northern tiers of the planet and in North America, and there was some studies done. They do have diets that are very high in fat, and nobody, I don't think, really understands. There are some genetic factors that probably are involved. They certainly also have, even though they have eaten a lot of fat, been very active people. Historically, they have frequently walked long distances and have been extremely active, but they do not have near the incidence of heart disease that the average American has. There was an interesting study done as well on sumo wrestlers in Japan.
Are we talking fat now?
We're talking fat, and you know, we're talking fit and fat. They
That's
tend to
true.
be very athletic, very strong. They exercise a lot, and you know, you look at them and you see this outer layer of fat, but underneath that they tend to be very muscular. They exercise a lot, and they really do work at being very athletic, but they're very, very large. And they have, over centuries, perfected ways of being able to gain weight and yet stay physically strong and fairly athletic.
That's fascinating.
It is fascinating, and how they eat and when they sleep and when
I've
they
read that.
exercise all seems to be a factor, and I won't go into all the details, but it is interesting that they can put on all that fat and yet be quite fit. The other thing that is a well-known fact, it's where we put our fat, those of us that have problems with obesity. You know, the classic example is the pear-shaped person or the apple-shaped person. The apple-shaped person has most of their fat at their waist and into their chest, and they tend to have high levels of what we call visceral fat, or fat stored in their body organs, in their liver, in their abdominal cavity, in their chest, around their heart. They store fat in those areas. Pear-shaped people tend to put their fat on their hips, in their thighs, in their lower legs, a lot of the times in their arms, but they don't tend to have much fat stored in the visceral areas of their chest and abdomen. And they have, on average, much lower incidences of coronary heart disease than the people who are apple-shaped and have higher visceral fat. So not all fat is the same.
No.
Now, you know, the general trend, of course, is that people have become more obese. Most people's average body weights in the Western world, no matter what country you go to, are climbing. And of course, with that, no matter where you store your fat, you have higher incidences of arthritis in the hips and the knees and the weight-bearing joints. Certain cancers are more prevalent in people who are obese. So there are a lot of other factors. But for heart disease, it does make a difference where your fat is stored. And in the question of the Inuits and the sumo wrestlers, there are other factors, and I think a lot of studies in the future with more detailed DNA analysis and genetic analysis may shed more light as to how they're able to do that.
But the reality is we do need fat, but it's good fat.
We do need fat, and especially young children. You know, a lot of adults hear this all the time. Don't eat so much fat. Don't eat so much fat. So they're on very low-fat diets, and then they'll have children, and children need more fats than adults, and for growth and their metabolism just generally is different. So we need to pay attention that we get some fat, and if you don't know how much you should have, you can check a variety of nutritional sources. You can check with your healthcare provider, and it does change with age, and children generally need more than adults.
Well, that's good to know. It's for their development, right?
Yes, it is, and for them to develop normally they need nutrition
But
specified to
good
them.
fat.
Good fat.
Good fat,
Good
not
fat.
French fry fat.
No, right, right.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson.